I want to show you how to outline a building and track it across a short period of time. Okay, so first thing is first, you're gonna go ahead and open a new layer, a new shape layer, and then we're gonna drop some points here. Now we're gonna outline the building as best we can, so we're gonna zoom in as much as we can. You can use your scroll pad on your mouse, or you can control plus to zoom in. And once you've zoomed in, you're going to start dropping points across this building. Now, we're not going to move forward in time for a couple reasons. First thing is first, after we've outlined our building, we're going to go ahead and track the motion. We're just going to track X and Y. This is a 2D video. We're just going to track 2D motion. We are not going to track 3D motion. We're not going to stabilize or anything like this. We're just going to assume that in this instance the video is super smooth. Okay, so once we've dropped our points, we're going to check to make sure it looks all right. I think that looks fine. Rename the layer to building outline just so we know what this layer is once we track our motion. Okay, now we're going to select the video layer. And when we select the video layer, we're going to open our tracker panel and we're going to select track motion. And in the middle of the screen, you'll see this thing called track point 1. What we want to do is we want to track this somewhere on the building we just outlined. It's particularly we want to track it to a very high contrast area. So I'm going to kind of search this building until I see a high contrast point, and I think that this like little band at the top that has that white line, I think that's probably going to be the best place to track. Ideally, you would have a super high contrast area. It's not always, you know, some buildings don't always have the best point, so you're going to want to track something nearby with high contrast if your building does not have it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit Analyze Forward, and we're going to let this track through the duration of our video. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward here so you don't have to watch this whole tracking process. We're going to track through the duration of the video and just make sure that that line is super nice and smooth and straight. Now, if you do see any of these dots in your motion path here way out of whack, you may want to redo this. It's going to be super jittery if this is not a smooth path. Now, a smooth path can mean a lot of things. It can be smooth in a straight line or smooth with curves, but as long as there's not like any kind of jagged edges, you're going to be pretty good to go here. So this looks super smooth, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Apply. Now what this is going to do is it's going to apply the motion tracking data to the X and Y coordinate of that shape that I just outlined, because that is the only layer in our project right now. So it's automatically going to apply that. If you have multiple layers in your project, you are going to want to make sure that it is tracking the right layer to this motion path. And you can check that by hitting Edit Target and then making sure that it is the same layer that you just named. Once you hit Apply, you'll see Apply X and Y, then you're going to hit OK. And after that, we are going to go ahead and check to make sure that this building looks like it is tracking smoothly. The first thing that I have noticed here is that my building is actually not outlining my building anymore, and that sometimes happens depending on where your anchor point is in that shape. So I'm going to go ahead and select the shape layer, and then I'm going to hit A for anchor point, and I'm going to adjust this to where that shape is back around my building like it was originally. After you have ensured that the starting place is correct, you're going to go ahead and scroll through your timeline here and just make sure that it tracks to the timeline like you're expecting it to. Now, what you might notice is that because of the way the camera is moving through the scene, the shape has shrunken by the end of the scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and animate the path of this shape so that it ends in the same way that it started, at the same size, and scales proportionally through throughout the duration of this clip. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and open our shape controls. We're going to drop down shape 1, path 1, and then drop a keyframe by selecting the timer. Now we're going to go ahead and hit F9 to easy ease this, and then we're going to go to the very end of this clip, and we are going to go ahead and edit the path so that it is back around the building like it initially was. In order to do this, I'm going to shift click one of the ends here, and sometimes this can be a little bit finicky, but once we have a movable dot, we're going to go ahead and adjust this path back around the building. Awesome, and now once it's like how it originally was, now we're just going to go ahead and pan through the whole shot just to make sure that it is exactly around this building throughout the duration of the film. Now you might notice in the middle it does overlap that building in front, so we're going to go ahead and drop some more path keyframes here by moving these corners back around the building. And this is just going to make sure we don't get any funky effects here. Now you want to be very conservative with how many of these keyframes are being dropped, so I suggest starting at the start point and at the very end, and then checking that middle section like I have just done here, and adjusting where needed throughout the duration of the film. Again, the idea is you want to drop as few keyframes as possible. This is going to keep it looking super smooth and super natural. The more you have to animate this, the more room for error there is, and the more room for this line looking super wonky. So start at the beginning and start at the end, and then adjust in the middle. I'm going to scroll forward, and I've noticed that it jumps out in front again, so I'm just going to very quickly adjust these keyframes. Okay, that looks good. And now I'm going to scroll back through my whole clip, and now, oop, I need to zoom out a little bit. But now it does look like it is staying around the building, even in the front half of the video. So I don't think I need any more keyframes. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here and just triple check that this line looks super smooth, which it does. And again, best practice is to start at the beginning and start at the end, drop your keyframes, and then go back and adjust in the middle where needed. After I have outlined everything, I'm going to go ahead and animate in the path and animate it out. And I'm going to show you one of my favorite ways to do this. So I'm going to lock that bottom layer, and then I'm going to go into my contents, shape 1, fill 1. I'm going to add a super, I'm going to add the same color fill, but like with a lot of opacity applied. So I'm going to go down to like 20%, 30% opacity. Yeah, let's do 30. 30% opacity in the fill there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and scroll up to this add icon, click it, and then select add trim paths. And once I have that trim path selected, I'm gonna drop that down, and then I'm gonna toggle a keyframe maybe like 2 seconds out. I'm gonna toggle on a keyframe at the start position. This is where it's gonna end up. As you can notice, this is the final level of this shape. So I'm gonna scroll backwards in time now. After I've hit F9 to easy ease it, scroll backwards in time, and then I'm going to toggle that up to 100%. And now we can see that it slowly outlines and fills in that building. Now I want it to be a little bit more dramatic, so it's fun. So I'm going to hit that little speed graph icon up at the top, and then I'm going to adjust this until I get like again a little bit more drama. I want it to really, oh, that was a lot of drama, but I think I want maybe just a little bit more. There we go. You can see how it really speeds up in the middle there and then slows down at the end. So it starts slow, speeds up in the middle. That's just a little bit more fun than doing that smooth linear motion. Okay. Now once I've got it to where I like, I'm actually gonna scroll to the end and do the exact same thing. So I'm gonna toggle that speed graph off for now. Zoom out on my video here, go to the end, about 8 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and start that same process by dropping another keyframe. And then toggle that back up to 100% so there is no outline. And when you do this, it is not going to add that same effect at the beginning. You're going to need to go back in and manually do the same thing. So I'm going to go open my speed graph, and I'm going to aim to have a very similar shape here at the beginning and at the end by dragging these handles out. And okay, you see it has that same dramatic little flare there, which just is a little bit more visually appealing than doing a super smooth and linear line. Awesome. I think I like how this looks, so I'm gonna call it good here. Thank you for watching.